Yes.
The little lampshades here, we have a few boxes upstairs in the archive of those.
Oh, yeah?
Because they were specially made. Fenton Glassware made them.
I've heard that story.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Okay,
just
no.
that you guys couldn't have, you didn't want to replace them with
We
anything.
have replacements.
Oh, great.
Fenton loved the design so much, you heard about that?
They started selling them again?
They asked if they could make baskets. They made a basket.
Oh, isn't that cool?
Franklin's the most beautiful graphics you've ever seen.
Are you coloring over them to make them a different color?
Yes,
Blue?
that's what has been discussed.
Obviously, it's not a public hearing. But I had the best excuse of anybody not to be there, from what I hear. Good. He was born at just minutes before 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
How was Heather?
She's okay. It's a whole lot, you know, when you're trying to recover and keep the kid fed and raise two children and a husband that is mostly useless. So
That's our job.
what's going on? Right there you go. I can state it that way for sure. I'm sure she would not argue.
Mark come here tonight? That's great.
I don't know, isn't it usually?
She has leave for 2 months left, so we're
right.
here for a while.
Good service to that.
Yeah, no, that's right. We're looking for a summertime person, seasonal teller.
Good burger today. Good burger today.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Haven't seen you since.
I was impressed how
It's been an exciting week.
read some
for
extra,
sure.
I bet.
and I was gonna bring it out, some extra, because I went in and kind of like that, but we had extra fries and extra onions. We had a lot of extra going on.
Hey Pete, I brought my groceries, man.
Did you bring produce? I didn't get the shield. I didn't get the shield.
We have signed, you're so
It's searching. Everything's,
It's live now.
well, it says it's live, but there's no picture coming through. It's just spiral. Everything looks like it's working, but, just, you
Well,
know.
it's working.
Can,
Anyway,
can you see your photo?
we just said it, you can hear everyone's conversation.
Oh, okay. Actually, speaking of, I'll turn that on. Oh, that's good, because I'm not seeing it. Glad that it's working. Hi, Gary.
Looks and sounds somber.
What was that?
It looks and sounds somber.
Oh, yeah?
Everybody just sitting here silently waiting for some. I guess we get to see what happens. Now here comes the rabble-rousers.
Test 1, 2, 3, test.
Okay, where's the magic touch?
You just take that button down.
Select.
No.
Yes.
Well, I guess it says the power, see the little symbol on it? That's how you'll also do it. Oh.
So essentially, but, oh yeah, it's just around that. But, I'm not sure what the big situation will be, if I remember right. Change that possibly. So we know that that will be something new on that location, or this location.
Okay. Okay, it's 7:01, so we'll start the meeting with the roll call, please, Sarah.
Trustee McDougal?
Here.
Trustee Meisel?
Here.
Trustee Wiegert?
Here.
Trustee Gallegos? Trustee Van Ouden?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem DeKay?
Here.
Mayor Tukey?
Here. Okay, so staff and board revisions to the agenda. We have one, and you have it in front of you. It's a support letter from the town and the county. I got a request this morning. The ambulance is going to be sending Ryan to Copenhagen to paramedic school, and they needed a support letter to send to Create, which they get the money from. So we're going to just add it to the bottom of the consent agenda. And then, as it's okayed, I'll sign it tonight, and then Willie will take it to the commissioners on Wednesday, and they'll sign it on Wednesday. Okay, anything else, Michelle? Okay. And do we have any public comment? Thank you all for being here. Our first item in number 3 is proclamation and presentation, EMS Week proclamation. You have a copy of it in front of you also. And we have Kimmett Holland in front of us, who's the director.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and board members. So each year, there is a week designated for emergency medical services recognition for all the hard work, all the people who provide emergency medical services, from frontline responders, first responders, all the way to ER physicians, doctors, nurses, surgeons, flight teams, the whole chain of organizations that are part of emergency medical services when somebody has been stricken with an illness or injury that require that level of care. So we don't have a lot of places around the country. This is actually an international week of celebration around the world, but it started here in the U.S. back in the 70s, kind of revised back in the 80s. And about the only thing that we can afford to do here in our community is to at least have a proclamation from our two governmental agencies to recognize the hard work that folks put in. And so what we request is that I can read this to you, or you can just read it yourself, but to recognize the hard work from your EMTs, your paramedics, your firefighters, search and rescue team, your law enforcement, that all are one big part of our emergency medical services. So we hope you would look at this and proclaim this as a week specific to our community to recognize those that serve the community.
Madam Mayor, I would move that the Board of Trustees of the Town of Silverton proclaim the week of May 17th through May 23rd, 2017. Is that the correct dates? Excuse me, May 21st through May 27th, 2017 as EMS Medical Services Week, and thank our local EMS.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a second from Trustee Meisel. Okay, we can just do a consent, consent by a hand raise. So all in favor? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate you and your group.
Thank you.
Okay, so number 4 then is the approval of the consent agenda items, and we have payroll and accounts payable, and you have the extra sheet and the minutes for 4/24, and then we have special event applications from the.
I don't really know what's causing that. Wonder if it's on the end.
Okay, and then we have special event applications for the cemetery cleanup and picnic at Memorial Park, the Ride the Rockies aid station and vendors at the Visitor Center, the special event application for the Antique Truck Show, and the liquor license renewal app from the Golden Block, and then the support letter to create that we added. So.
I think it might be your.
My mic, I can go without it.
They may be too loud.
possibly?
We'll try that for now. Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
So
I'll
we-
second.
Do you want me to just,
We have a motion from trustee McDougal and a second from trustee Ronaldo. So roll call, please, Sarah.
trustee Maisel?
Yes.
Trustee Wiegert?
Yes.
Trustee McDougal?
Yes.
Trustee Renowden?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem DeKay?
Yes.
Mayor Tukey?
Yes. So now we're down to the administrator's report.
I have a written report. Does anyone have any
There's
questions?
two identical checks from front to back. I just didn't know if that was.
I don't feel like you need to reiterate written reports as a verbal report, but if you all feel differently, please let me know.
Any questions for Ms. Hamilton? Okay, we have. Sorry, we had things. Okay, then we'll go down to department reports. You have in your packet, you have a report from John Sykes.
John's report really just deals with village fees. So we can maybe refer to that when we get down to the continued business.
Anything else, Mitchell?
A bunch of stuff from Mark in here as well.
Yeah.
Mark is gonna go down below and take care of everything.
If you, he does have a report on the vacation rentals, well, you should.
Do you wanna do that now?
which one do you want first?
Why don't you do let's see, we'll flip a coin.
Which controversy first?
The vacation rentals.
Okay. Are you ready, Madam Mayor?
Sorry.
The second page, okay. And I'll leave that for Michelle to take care of that. Okay, Mr. Reyes.
Okay. This has been something I have been studying. The first one that says administrative review vacation rentals, that is what I have given out to two new applicants, and it further explains the ordinance in hopefully plain language, and kind of reiterates what is required to be submitted and why it's being submitted, and that's primarily to protect the nature of the residential areas. So it's a 4-pager, and it really goes through detailed in what compliance is. So that's what is handed out to vacation rentals. I'm kind of in a sticky situation here because vacation rentals are up to the discretion of the planning director. The ordinance, the way it was written, is all about managing vacation rentals. There is nothing about rejecting vacation rentals in the ordinance, which is a problem. So we send out letters to a 150-foot radius from the property of a vacation rental, and they're sent out. We collect the information. Usually they're negative, but if it's complete, how do I reject it? So I'm going over this. I sent out the letters. I have collected 3 letters regarding one of the vacation rentals, not wanting it in their neighborhood.
Again, the purpose of the ordinance is to protect the health and safety, parking, noise, all those impacts, and mitigate those that happen. We've provided vacation rentals. We're doing better enforcement now. We are certainly concerned about that. We're also concerned about occupancy rates. They are meant to be just weekly rentals. So we are monitoring that a lot more intensely. We're going to do inspections as well. We are going to require, because we can in the current ordinance, we're requiring that every time a new tenant comes in that they send us an email or a letter that indicates the new tenancy in that area. So again, the way the ordinance is written, it's meant to be a weekly rental, even if the person stays for only 3 days. They can only rent within that 7-day period. So we do know that that is taking place.
Who was in the email?
What's that? The manager or the property owner would send a single sheet. So we can request the registry at any time, but I think the registry has just been in the vacation rental. We are asking so we can monitor compliance with that. I'm supposed to render my best decision. It's difficult when there's no way within the ordinance to overturn it. I don't like that word discretion. So rejection based upon public complaint is arbitrary in my opinion if the vacation rental application is complete and in compliance with the provisions of the ordinance. So I'm not ready at this time to make any approval or recommendation to the town board. I wish to collect the letters and the testimony and that the notified neighbors have provided to me, and then check that with the requirements of the ordinance to see if they're complete or not. And I really don't know how to overturn it. There is, again, one of the vacation rentals has a concentration of vacation rentals all along the street that are problematic. I've seen that. And what I'm proposing is like a 150-foot notification that you have a 150-foot radius or a 300-foot circle placed on an existing vacation rental, and that no other vacation rental could be within that area. So that's a city block. So basically it would be every city block can only have one vacation rental in it. And then I go to, I really believe that we should amend the ordinance. It has become very successful on one hand on the number of vacation rentals, and on the other hand it has impacted the residential zones. So my recommendations are approve the vacation. I have 2 vacation rental applications that are complete in my opinion, unless there's something to base that on. I think we should adjust the cap on the number of vacation rentals from 35 to 25. And there is no limit in the business pedestrian zone for vacation rentals. And as I would also like you to consider possibly lowering the allowable number of vacation rentals by adjusting the cap to 20 as different vacation rentals expire when homes are sold. That's also in the ordinance, that you can't carry on the vacation rental determination. Vacation rentals within the zone, I would like to introduce a step. We're putting vacation rentals into zones, which is a planning issue. I think we should introduce another step where vacation rentals go to the planning commission. That only makes sense to me. And then the planning commission would forward a recommendation to the town board instead of going directly to the town board. Implement provisions that no new vacation rentals within that 150 feet radius that I talked about, and then consider any other provision that will ensure vacation rental ordinance meets its proposed ordinance and the intent of protecting residential neighborhoods. So the primary problem is protecting residential neighborhoods. They're no longer acting like R1s or R2s. They're acting like something completely different. And we have also imposed the ADUs, which we know will be good for workers' housing, but again, that impacts it as well. So those are my recommendations. But again, this will take public comment, process, and ordinance amendments.
And how many weekly rentals do we currently have?
22, and that would get it to, if those 2 new applications are approved, that get us to 24, and then there'd be 1 left.
Mark, no, just to clarify, that's 22 that we have currently within the residential district.
Correct.
That does not include the business district. Just a couple of comments. I think that it's a good idea to have the planning commission look at something, although in the case of our current ordinance, if there's nothing in that ordinance that allows you to look at it and deny something outside of just the, having all of the paperwork together, then the planning commission doesn't have any reason to deny it either, or to recommend its denial. And so there's nothing in there for them to really look at with the current ordinance.
Right.
I agree that we should address the density, and I think your 150-foot radius works very well. That's my opinion. And I think, based on what other trustees say, I think we should draw up the ordinance with your recommendations in it and put it to the vote of the town board. Anybody else?
I will tell you that over the years, the reason that the town board has this is because the planning commission, with smiles on their faces, relinquished anything that they had to do with it. So that's how we got it.
And I am relinquishing some of that with, discretion is a bad word when it's not clear. So that's the situation I'm in right now.
I think if it's a consensus of the board, maybe with the new planner and with things coming up the way that they are, maybe it'd behoove us to go back and look at it and look at what Mark has found and adjust or whatever.
I would recommend a work session.
I think a good thing to start that work session, Tiffany, would be to have the current ordinance as it reads, and then have it drawn up with your recommendations so that we have something to start with, and then we can start our discussions and compromising from that point.
I think there's going to be some, I agree with that totally. Mark wasn't here when we went through all this, and we actually compromised on the cap of the 35, so there'll be a lively discussion on that one with the public.
Yeah.
To let you know.
Is that 35 residential, or is that 35 total?
35 residential, no cap, and business pedestrian.
Right.
So are you asking us to approve the 2 right now, or what?
No, I think it's in my,
In your hands?
it's in my hands. So.
Well, wasn't there something that you read about safety, and I think that's an issue in one of the areas.
Safety, parking.
Yes.
And then also in my write-up, it's very clear that the neighbors need to report to the manager. That's why the manager is available within 15 minutes. And they need to report to enforcement that there was a violation. So I went up and saw on one of the streets we're talking about, and there were 4 cars there towing snowmobiles, and they're blocking the street. That needs to be reported. And then they need 1 warning, and then I think we pull, it's kind of brutal, but I think we pull the permit if it's that egregious. So that would be part of the policy of what it takes to pull the permit. I'm just trying to correct that, if we can reject a vacation rental or not, is what I'm currently struggling with.
With regards to the 2 that you've got on your desk right now, I think that you've got the right approach. I also don't like the word discretion because it doesn't give you any sort of, without anything written in the language that gives you a legal reason to deny something, then you don't have that. So all you can do at this point is take those back to the original ordinance, our current ordinance, like you suggest, and if those applications have met all of the language in the ordinance and there's nothing else there that would give you reason to otherwise deny them, then you need to approve them. That's basically where we're at.
Yeah, and so I did not do an official public hearing, and I didn't put it as an agenda item to the board here. I just wanted to make sure everybody had a chance to provide their input and their concerns. And I'll take those concerns and apply them adjacent to the ordinance, and then we'll proceed with our enforcement like we've been doing to a higher degree.
So
One of the
Mark,
things that came.
The three letters that you got, were they for both or one?
They're for one.
They're for one.
And it was primarily that over-concentration of vacation rentals, you know, where you go, one's just fine, but we've never looked at that cumulative effect. And it just happened that ones with nice views and nice houses were really good vacation rentals. So
Well, in the wintertime too, you say there were three trailers with.
four trucks with all snowmobile trailers.
Well, and you can have the same thing in the summertime with ATVs.
And I made it pretty clear with these other two applicants that I preferred off-street parking. And one of them can provide a whole lot of off-street parking. And again, the ordinance reads that it can be off-street parking or on-street parking, and it should be right in front. Again, if that doesn't work out, there's something wrong with the ordinance too.
And that's another discussion for our work session, is how much on-street parking each one is entitled to and all of that. Do you think, in your opinion, that a moratorium is a good idea? Although a moratorium would not affect anything that's on your desk right now.
I'm comfortable with one more if we get to that point. So that would be at 25.
Gotcha, okay.
And then the only thing that's a little aggressive is dropping it back down to 20. So that would be a way to reduce the concentration without being unfair. As houses were sold per the current ordinance, can't be transferred. So that would be the ability to reduce the number if that's what you want to do. But we can discuss that further in the work session.
Agreed.
So do we have any feelings or comments, because we've got 2 letters about one of them from neighbors? I mean, I know we talked about that at one point, but you know, if we're sending out letters to 150 feet around the vacation rental, and we happen to get back letters from neighbors, does that have any?
It doesn't have any bearing on whether or not you can accept these vacation rentals. Displeasure of the neighbors.
There was an amount,
Right. Well, that's kind of the quagmire that we're in with him, where they're all under administrative review. And it calls for these letters, but yet doesn't.
You know,
And they're all pretty much the same. They're traffic, dust, noise, parking. That's what they all refer to, which is, yeah.
I did get a phone call from someone that was very distraught about that. And, you know, I think the reasoning behind her distress is legitimate, and I think you addressed that with the parking issue. And, you know, if there's an injury or an ambulance or a fire truck needs to get over there at certain times when it's so clogged up with vehicles, that could be bad.
Yeah. So Bill McDougall and I have certainly taken an approach to that. We're going to monitor it a
I
lot
also
more
think,
closely.
if you guys remember, and please correct me if I'm wrong, we do want to be consistent, because we did have an earlier case this year down at the condos where we did have 3 letters and we were ready to reject it. They just backed out.
Yep.
You guys remember that?
Yeah, I don't think that, I mean, at least me personally, I don't think that I was ready to reject it. I was definitely very queasy about approving one when a good amount of the neighbors had written letters to us.
Right.
But from a liability standpoint, if there's nothing in the ordinance that tells us that those letters carry any weight, then we're shooting ourselves in the foot by doing that. And I think that's where we're at. We need to discuss that in our work session, and that certainly needs to be part of that discussion, is why are we asking the neighbors if their opinion doesn't mean anything?
Correct.
And if their opinion does mean something, and the intent of this board is to make their opinion mean something, well, then our ordinance needs to spell it out.
And we could also look at, you know, just to add another work session item there, we could treat R1s more intensely and R2s maybe. You know, we could even divide it that way. And then again, the condo thing was, that would be horrible to buy a condo and not know what's there. So that's kind of like the R2 situation. So there's a lot to talk about and think about on this. So everything's complicated. So.
Eric, can I chime in on this for a minute? Can I say something? I want to make something. I want to, if you're going to have a work session on this, I just want to mention something.
Go ahead.
What I wanted to say is that if you guys are going to have a work session on it, would you please consider extending the 150-foot radius, maybe 300 feet? And the reason why I would ask for that is that there's a few sections in town that a person who's 150 feet away from that, or I'd just say he's 165 feet, because of the way the traffic flows, it's going to go by his house. But because he's outside that 150-foot radius, he won't have any input. And there's, I mean, I can take you around, there's at least 4 or 5 areas where that will happen, and I'm one of them. It seemed to me when I first got on the planning commission back in the day that it was 300 foot. And the whole idea was because of that. You got to remember that the streets are 100 feet wide. So if you're down on one, if a potential weekly rental is on the corner of one end of the block, the guy on the other end of the block isn't going to get a notice because he's well beyond the 300 feet. Or the 150 feet, excuse me. That's why I'd like to see you extend that by 300 feet. The flow of traffic like Bertrandville, that is just mess. That's a mess.
I use 2 terms, 150-foot radius versus 300-foot circumference.
And if I
So you
understand,
might add that, Mark.
Yeah, it's-
You might add that.
I think what Dave's asking for is a 300-foot radius with 600-foot diameter.
That's 2 blocks.
And your idea, Dave, is not just for the notifications being sent out, but also for what is allowable. I mean, 300-foot being the density allowed. Is it
My deal was more or less the notification.
okay?
But then, see, I was in this situation back in December. I'm one of the guys that filed a complaint. But then when I found out that my complaint doesn't hold any weight, then why the hell am I doing it? You know, that's wrong. That's, you know, the people that live here year-round have to put up with some crap, and, you know, it's a lot of give and take. But those complaints, or even promoted, that should have some weight.
Maybe we should set the you know, as far as starting the discussion, maybe we should start the discussion with a density of 150, but a notification range of 300.
Got it.
So that there's actually both going on. Thank you for your comment, Dave.
Thank you, Dave. Then Mark, just kind of figure out when you can.
Yep. I think I got it laid out pretty good, so I can do that sooner than later.
All right. Then,
Ready for OHVs?
no, you're on the agenda. Okay, so, do we have any trustee reports? And I guess we're down to continued business, which is me.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. I really do appreciate, as the planning director, having that great town hall meeting. Close to 50 forms filled out by the participants. So very good information. We are not throwing those away. They were compiled and they were put in the packet. So good job compiling all those. They'll definitely be part of the planning process. There really are a multitude of issues regarding this that we have to confirm. As you know, the ballot initiative allows revisions of the existing OHV routes as needed to expand for additional right-of-way access to town board of trustees. Again, we are at a time crunch right here. At the town hall forum, we set the priority. Everybody nodded their head that signage was the issue at hand, that we improve signage to make it the best possible. In your packet, notice the first one, the concept has come out that the sign should be blue. So I believe when we reprint the maps, the pathway should be blue instead of green. There's some slapped together graphics showing OHV. It's too dark of a blue, but that's the concept, is that a nice teal blue sign that people can really notice becomes the pathway to follow. I have here a small excerpt from the Federal Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices. We are allowed to do wayfinding. We do have some leeway. We believe we're in compliance by pursuing this in this direction. The existing signs, instead of wasting these, there's a possibility that we could possibly do the big giant no at the end. And I slapped together that, imagine that blue, or imagine that sign there with a big circle and a cross in it. And maybe we could reuse those. And everybody thinks those signs are really small. They're actually really big when you put them in a room like this. So these are the ones that are in the crosswalk. When you drive by them, you think they're actually pretty small. But that's the kind of standard. We'll have to see if it's safe enough to reuse those metal signs in the street. So what Mr. Seitz and I have talked about is that those go into the crosswalk areas that guide everyone through. We've looked at painting down the middle. We've looked at those strange little whisker things. We think that those are pretty obvious if you have them lined up along the way. So these are the recommendations for establishing, in this critical time of doing improved signage. I know there's a lot of input. We're not ignoring it for adjusting and potentially expanding OHV routes, also accommodating people that have OHVs. But I think at this time, and with limited money and limited time, that all we can concentrate on now is improved signage, and then we regroup in October again and see how well it worked. And then I keep pursuing recommendations on staging for trailers. There's lots of issues with that, crossing railroads, whether the signage is correct, what routes we go. So I think it needs further study, but that again is up to you. It's just difficult if we start doing routes without public input going through neighborhoods. It just could cause issues. But again.
And the other thing is, if we change a route, we have to change the ordinance, and it becomes the 60 to 90 day protocol.
I think staff can troubleshoot the signage and deal with those issues within ourselves. What we need direction from the board is whether or not you want to pursue modifying the route this season. And it is all of staff's recommendation that we do not make any route changes this season. Exactly like you just said, it would have to go through ordinance. We'd be going through work session by the time we came up with a new route. We published it. We did a second reading. We're already halfway through the season. And it's really not going to benefit us now. It's better to just try to mitigate the problems that we already know we have, and then we look at the route at the end of this season.
So we have to deal with parking then. Trailers all over the place. We can't solve that.
The staging areas, we're looking at areas that we can possibly use the staging areas.
And are they town properties or are they private properties?
I don't know that we have any town-owned properties that
So you're dealing with individuals then?
And it would be somewhat of an enforcement thing. You provide staging for the trailer, you unload it. You'd have to be sure to unload in one of the route zones and then move your trailer and then get back to it. It is problematic. And then the one I really caught my attention was the gasoline issue. Everybody carrying bombs around, and that's a big giant issue, is the gasoline and access to that.
I think more importantly, than carrying a gas can around, which is not as dangerous as it sounds, is the fact that many of them aren't going to do that, and they're simply going to risk getting a ticket, and they're going to drive down there, and they're going to make our sheriff's department give them a ticket, and then they're going to load their ear up full of flack for doing it. It's a major issue, and we've looked at ways to solve it, and the expense of going across Highway 550, whether it's at Ree Street or Snowden Street or Keystone or Bluff, is still extremely, extremely expensive. So,
You weren't at the meeting when Dave brought up
but
that
it's a problem.
Kim Demery was thinking about putting a gasoline, whatever they call it, a con something, Dave, I don't remember exactly what it, over by the car wash.
And that would be,
And which would be expensive, you know.
that would be the solution, is for the private sector to somebody in the private sector to provide gas, in a place where we can get to it. But
I don't know what
the
the-
government can't go into business selling gasoline. So
And I don't know
that's
what's
for
the
the private
payback
sector
to
to
do
stand
that.
up. It'd be awesome if Kim did that.
So, the payback on something like that, you'd overcharge for the gas, and you have to try to pay that off as a private person. There's not that much gas to sell.
Yeah.
So, but
It depends
we have to
on-
figure
depends
it
on the
out
person.
somehow for safety, for all those factors. So
Yeah.
that's why I say it's a planning issue to solve.
It definitely is an issue, one way or the other. It's everyone's issue.
And we will listen to all recommendations and put them forward and try to come up with a solution. So we'll have multiple pathways, multiple solutions to consider.
We're not taking any comment. I'm sorry, guys.
I just wanted to know what our sheriff thinks about all this.
Say that again, Tom. I'm
I
sorry.
wonder if our sheriff has any input into all of this.
Well, our sheriff wasn't at the meeting, but I noticed he's here tonight, so I guess we could give him, if you want.
Guess my biggest concern would be that we're not doing what we've done over the last few years, which is unworkable for a lot of people, including a lot of visitors that come here and want to get tickets from us. The last meeting seems kind of fruitless to me. I was away, I apologize for not being here, but it seemed like we've already voted on these issues, and we've kind of had a mandate from the community to move forward with this route, and we're still talking about what we want to do. It seems like the community has decided that what we need to do is work with the route, and I'd like to see us do something that whatever we do, whether it's the whiskers or the paint or the more signage or whatever we do, just do something that's extremely obvious so that we can alleviate these concerns for the visitors and for our office and a lot of the businesses that have to deal. So I think we kind of are putting the cart before the horse here and talking about extending routes and this and that. What we need to be talking about is how to make what we just decided to do work, in my opinion.
No.
And I haven't heard anybody move forward with any money or any kind of, I talked to Mr. Seitz, and we've got some game plans as far as looking at signage and whatnot for other issues as well. It sounds like we're going to invest a lot of money in different color signs, which in my opinion isn't going to change a whole lot. I think we need something way more obvious than changing the color of the signs.
And I think that's what came up at the meeting, Bruce.
They're
And
no
that's
longer just on the poles, they're in the street.
Yeah. And when we put together all the information from those sheets, and I don't know, did you put them out out?
They were in your package.
So if we decide that's the way to go to increase signage and put them in the middle of the streets, do we actually have funding for that? And the figures I've seen from Mr. Seitz are pretty steep. And it seems like on top of spending that money initially, we're going to have a great deal of maintenance because those signs there are going to get stolen, they're going to get beat up, they're going to get knocked over, people are going to have to pick them up all the time. I kind of like my original thought and Tommy West's original thought here that painting is the way to go. I know that we might have to do it every couple of weeks on the dirt streets, that's potentially an option, but those seem really problematic and expensive to me. I know other people have looked at it, just my opinion for that.
I agree with the sheriff that I'm an advocate for paying the line in the streets. I have been since day one. It's definitely a lot of work, but I mean that's the easiest thing, and it gives the sheriff's department the ability to deny people who are saying I didn't know. When people are driving off the route, and they give them the excuse, I didn't know I was off the route. Well, when we have gigantic blue lines painted on the street, it's so obvious that that no longer becomes, you know what I mean? That's no longer becomes an argument with any merit that they didn't know. And that's where we need to take this to.
One thing I keep hearing brought up from time to time too is signage that says, don't go here. And I've cautioned about this before. My experience with that is very negative. I think that if you're going to put a sign that says, this waterfall is dangerous, then you have to put a sign at every waterfall in the county that says, this waterfall is dangerous, you're going to be sued. So if we have a sign that says you can't go beyond 6th Street on Green Street, then we need a sign everywhere else that you can't go. I think we need to focus on one or the other. If we're going to make it positive that this is where you belong, then we don't convolute it with a few signs here and there that say don't go here as well. Because everywhere there isn't one of those signs, there's no door to carry on.
I can see how moving the signs to the middle of the street would make them much more obvious and is likely to do some good. I don't see how making them blue is going to make them any better, and that's where the huge expense comes, is in buying new signs to change the signs. I would think that maybe taking the current signs and putting those in the middle of the street would be as obvious as blue signs.
I was reusing the yellow ones as the no-go, and I was.
But what's the blue mark?
Oh, I was just saying, imagine it blue.
No, what did you use?
I just used blue tape. I was just saying, imagine it blue, but I was thinking that we could reuse the yellow signs as the circle with the no, and that the new blue signs would be the pathway. So it's just a concept, and again, that came out of input from staff, from people.
I think the larger expense is going to be the standalone frames. And the sheriff brings up a good point that we have a lot of signage issues, and to use our entire signs budget and some.
What was the $3,000 that John brought up though? He said that it wasn't going to be as expensive as originally thought.
That would be using these signs, just getting a sticker that goes over them. You can change a sign by just getting a sticker that goes over it. But I think that's not including the stands that would go in the middle of the street.
So with the stands, it goes from 3 to 10?
I don't think we have a solid figure on that.
Okay.
One of the issues we have is that we already have a huge amount of signs on the poles. Adding more signs to the poles, like what the sheriff said with no-go signs, you're further increasing the confusion.
They don't see them when there's so many signs on one pole.
That's
and that
right.
was the issue last year.
The other issue with the pole is, one of these days, San Miguel Power, we were discussing this the other day with our linemen. San Miguel Power might just come over, like a guy like Paul Ford might come in and say, I'm not liking this at all. These are our poles. Get our signs off, get the signs off. Hate to say that, but make it happen.
Mark, I'm just wondering, at the meeting that was financial assistance that was offered by Jim Wilkie and the Silverton HV Club, has that been pursued?
That's been proposed, so we could pursue that. So it just depends what direction you want to go with this. So I think a lot of people want to step up to solve it. They don't want to go through the vote again. So that's what we really need to try to do, is not go through a vote again. It's to correct it and make it benefit everybody.
Which means meaningful change, which means, in my opinion, taking the signs off the poles and paying restraint. It's only one opinion.
I think we should look into those sources of money more.
So again, I think staff is working on all these issues, and we've been working closely with the sheriff on these issues. And what we need to know from the board is whether or not you want to proceed with any modification to the route. Per the ordinance, that's your role in this.
Do we have to make that decision tonight?
It would be very helpful for us, so that we can move forward.
My opinion about that is that I agree that we need to fix what we have and get moving on in a good direction with the route that we have here. And then once we have a good working system in place, then changing the route is much more easy to do it at that point. To open up new places when the places that we currently have we can't enforce doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I agree with that. I'm just catching up, because I wasn't at that meeting, but I did catch up. The only thing I can see is the trailer issue and the offer by the railroad. And it's not that I want to so high on going down 10th Street, but just getting across the tracks to all that trailer, that property that would be a huge staging area.
Our Parks and Facilities Coordinator, who has dealt with that crossing in the past, his opinion was that we would have to go through the PUC to be able to do that because it's changing the flow of traffic. You're heightening the flow of traffic when it
But the
crosses.
town would have to go to the PUC? Okay, because the railroad doesn't.
There are people that go, I mean, there must be 50 cars a day that go across those tracks. I mean, who's responsible for that? So, I see it every day.
So that was brought up that the town has liability they need to go through.
The other thing is, if we do 10th Street, we have to change the ordinance. It's 60 to 90 days, and summer's gone.
Okay, well, I thought we were able to change it, link it to Blair Street without changing the ordinance last time.
No.
No?
That was first did.
Okay. All right.
See, we have a representative from the railroad here, but can he talk?
No.
Answer the question that we're asking.
I think this is kind of distracting anyway. I think that the trailers and the parking are really a secondary concern. And there's obviously issues, there's also issues with the way RVs park in multiple spots, but that's secondary compared to moving forward with making this OHV route viable.
And I think that should be our priority. Our priority is to get this route down pat so we've got people using it. I mean, thank you, Jim, for offering that. But having worked at the depot for 14 seasons and listening to the people when they thought that they heard that 10th Street was going to be put in it, and having nobody there now, I can see a big safety issue. Plus, your buses are being parked there. And I didn't say that to open you up to talk.
Well, I do want to say something because those comments are incorrect. The PUC has, the railroad is a PUC. This town of Silverton has no liability risk at that crossing.
We've already had to go through the PUC for that
The
crossing.
crossing, the individual who crosses
Again,
private property and
It's
private
in control of the
PUC.
meeting. Actually, it's inappropriate for the public to be making comments throughout the meeting, and this is happening more and more every meeting.
Well, you know,
This
you
is
interrupt too, Michelle, so let's just call it even.
This isn't a public hearing.
No, I know that, but we're bringing up questions. We have questions that Jim could answer.
I think we've answered Michelle's question, which was, are we looking at changing the route at this moment? And the answer to that is no. So I think we can move on from this issue.
Is that to stop us down the road from changing it either, is because it's going to.
No, we certainly have the ability to get down the road. I'm just saying at this time,
Right.
we're not looking at making any changes to the route.
This is the priority right now, is to actually get the map to Mark so he can do what he's done in the past and get things out. And then get the route out to all the people that will be dealing with OHVs. And then we look at what happens at the end of the season.
So if the route's not changing, the route's already out in many forms at this point. So what we need to focus on is making the route more obvious.
Right.
So I'd love to hear some steps. I mean, we're now 2 weeks after the vote. We had some folks who were offering to, when they saw that the vote was going to head this way, we had some folks offering to try and get ahead of this curve and try and make something happen. And OHVs are showing up now, they're showing up today. So we're already in the heat of it, and it's just going to increase exponentially every day. So I'd love for us to have some sort of a tangible plan that is moving forward with making this route more obvious would be my main concern.
I think maybe what Tommy has been talking about, the painting, and I think John tried it, Tommy's tried it, and maybe we try that and see what happens, especially on Blair Street, I don't know how long it's gonna last in the dirt. Or if we have a nice rainstorm like we did today, it suddenly is gonna wash away.
think it's worth a try.
But
Madam Mayor, on the color, I don't know where the color came, but it is allowed, it's unique. I assume, is the stripe gonna be blue? I just kind of want to know that so that the map, instead of green, it's blue, it matches, the stripe is blue, new signage is blue. I don't know if there's a concurrence on that or not, but there seemed to be.
Will that contrast well enough with black pavement to be visible?
It's, you know, like handicap, it'd be that color blue, that kind of bright blue.
That is for handicap curving and stuff like that, is easy to curve in.
And I do think that if you're working together with yourself, John, Sides, Public Works, and then say our Sheriff's Department, I feel that our staff and say the sheriff, you all could probably work on improving that route.
And then all the offers of land and staging and all those things will be considered. We are definitely not throwing those away. That's why I have to compile it and then present it to you to see what the best solution is. So all those generous offers are still on the table. It's just this time crunch right now.
so do we have a consensus then that we're going to keep the route the same? We'll try.
At least for now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got
Barbara? Yes, you do.
Well, then I don't know. You know, I'll agree for the sake of it. That's fine.
Jesse, okay, then Mark, and you can change it to blue if that's the
Blue.
Okay.
blue.
Print away.
Okay, anything else, Mark?
No, that's enough.
Okay, then we'll go to new business, and you've got in your packet the special event application for the 4th of July Association, Memorial Park and the fireworks. So,
Got some questions on this, so we're gonna have Molly present on exactly, if you look at your map, exactly what all this is. Meeting with the sheriff today, he was unavailable last week to review these applications. I think he's got some questions as well before final approval.
okay, so information's in your packet. So, Molly?
Molly Barella here, representing the 4th of July Association, and yes, in your packet you will see the application for the use of Memorial Park. We have gone with a company to create a carnival-like atmosphere in the park, since we no longer have the Rhubarb Festival representing the town anymore. And so in order to kind of concentrate and move the flow of people, we were looking at a bouncy house, an obstacle course that is available for adults and children, so this is very family interactive. Then we have a human hamster ball run, there again, which is adult and children oriented. We have a toddler zone, which has no lid on it. It's still a blow-up. It's about yay high, and it's literally designed to keep children like kind of under 4 in an area with big blow-up things and little seesaws and, you know, places to dig. And so we don't exactly have the parameters of all of those, so that's why the park map is really funny looking. And it's just drawn in with a bunch of black squares. So we are assuming that that's approximately right, based on where the outlets are. They do provide 2, right? It was 2 additional compressors that blow everything up in case we didn't have adequate power. And then we went with Carrie Metzler for Dillon Run in order to do some food vending. And we are talking super simple, water, Powerade, that kind of things, to keep people hydrated, to keep people out. And that would be in a small 10 by 10 tent. And we are truly believing that it should be closer to the bathroom area. for food vending. And parking in itself would be, most people walk, let's just put it that way. If you're following this right after the parade, the flow of people walk up there to begin with. They're following the water slide, and then the firemen are catching them with their luncheon there as well. And so we're just getting the progression to go up. It's still going to have the sales for the Ducky Derby as well down at the park, which will still go off hopefully without a hitch. And that is the park area. We were asking for the 350, correct? Price of the rental of the park this year to be waived, as this is our first year trying to do this, and we're looking at spending $6,000 to get the Airbound Colorado here, which is providing part of the life atmosphere. And then with the generous donations of Sharon and Mom, you want to talk about what you've got going on? You and Lisa? Okay. And that's also in your packet.
So we have several volunteers that will be helping us to erect a approximately 30-foot long mining town facade like a movie set. And this is something that is gifted to the town. It's movable, and you can break it down, flatten it, store it in the winter, put it up each summer, each tourist season if you wish. And the purpose of it is, again, to do a throwback on the historical mining culture of the town. And it provides the tourists a place to take pictures. They stand in front of the saloon and pose, or they poke their heads through the little window of the jailhouse and pose. And immediately in front of this structure, there will be small arcade games. And the school has donated several props like beanbag throw boards and spinning wheel for Wheel for Fortune to go in their bag, and gold toss, beanbag toss, ring toss, all kinds of things that they've used in a carnival in the past. So we'll have these simpler little carnival games to occupy the kids. And we'll have a range of, we'll have some games exclusive for toddlers, and then the rest will be like elementary school and up to adults to enjoy. And we have approximately about 10 different types of carnival games to they're just your simple county fair kind of thing.
Yeah, and hopefully you can see the mock-up of how she designed them. In there with all of the portions, it should be all in your packet.
Yeah, each little structure is 8 feet wide, and they'll be linked together. And we've got several carpenters that will be working on this with us, and we're making sure that structurally it's. Ron is a civil engineering and master carpenter background, so.
And those are going to be at Memorial Park as well, or are they going to be okay? Cool.
We're thinking that would be kind of directly more in the center where there is no power. That was that kind of larger square that I drew towards the middle. Just based on the fact that it doesn't need power, it just needs a little human power.
Yeah, the mining town in the carnival games, the hands-on carnival games would be in the area where there's no power required. Just have the open facilities.
Yeah. Well, we're really trying to change the dynamic that we don't get the riffraff, we get the families. The more family orientated we actually create all of this, involving all children, everything, you're going to push out the people that come up here just like that's super fun. We all know who they are. They all come from those neighborhood communities.
Also wanted to add, we're working on acquiring a tent, to possibly give the public also a space that they can get out from the rain or the sun. And under that tent would be other activities like face painting, a little face painting booth, a craft table for them to do a nature craft, maybe even hands-on science exhibits, so, that's a little, more of a passive, activity center under a tent.
Have you gotten with the library for their?
Yes, that's, Gilbert is talking with the library and proposing, that, borrow it from them and help them repair the tent. The tent's kind of fragile, and they're reluctant to loan it out.
No, I mean, have you talked with them about still having the rhubarb festival?
Oh, the rhubarb festival, oh, yeah, that has officially been canceled, but I do want to talk to them about maybe having a pie-eating contest. So,
And then have you talked to the brass band, or are they still gonna use the gazebo?
The gazebo, I have not talked to them, but it's my understanding that, they are.
Yeah, my dad said they were, so.
Scotty said something about that at the very beginning of the winter,
Well, and that's gonna bring a bigger draw as well. So the more that we put there, the more that we concentrate people there. That way, it's mostly during the train time hours too. So all of the flood that we get in from the train, we've got the people that are trying to stay here, located down there. And then when that's over, giving them a couple-hour break. And so we're really trying to focus this, keep them in town, because the more that they're in town, the more dollars come out of their pocket in town. And we're also trying to really eliminate the pack it in from Sam's Club kind of attitude that comes with that. If you've got food and things available, you're not going to have, and it's for Dylan's run. I mean, next year it could be for the preschool. It doesn't matter. We can change it up every year, but you're creating that kind of thing where people are like, oh, don't worry about it. I have something there. And so you start creating that mental attitude that every year that don't worry about it, we don't need to bring that much. We can buy it local and we'll keep it in town. So it might create more for the dump, but it does anyway every year. So.
I just want to ask, I've had a couple of inquiries in the past day or so about other vendors wanting to come up for the 4th of July, and I've been referring to them. So,
Yeah.
But I would like to know what your thought is on that.
Well, we're going to have to take everything, because I did see him, we'll have to take that to our committee, which we meet on Wednesday, and then we have to follow up with anything additional. I was even trying with State Patrol, and I was trying to get the Arrival Live to come, so we could do some sort of like DUI or pot awareness for youth, that kind of thing, because of the incident based on last year. And the CDOT was like, yay, great. State Patrol was like, yeah, we have nobody. So, and the closest Arrival Live was, I do believe, in Alamosa, and they didn't have any extra additional resource officers that could bring it here. So we were looking at other possibilities for not necessarily vendors, but exhibitions, that kind of stuff, to be able to go around Memorial Park. But yeah, we'll have to take that to committee because it came up after, we'd already put this proposal together for town. So if so, we just bring it back, what day is that, the 23rd or something? Probably 2 Mondays from now, we bring it back just as an addendum.
What was the question? I didn't hear what you asked.
Additional vendors.
Oh,
Yeah.
I couldn't hear you.
Michelle, it's because it's their event. Do they have to bring, they could control the vendors, right? Isn't that what you don't have to bring vendors back to us, is all I'm saying. You would be in control of
I
that.
thought there was a $30 application.
Well, they would pay their own, but you would deal with it, and you could charge them $50 and then just give us the 30. So I'm just saying, you don't have to bring it back.
And then as Molly said, that we're trying to push the crowds, on a timeline. The morning you're in the parade, and then there's the ducky thing and the water fight, and then pushing them to Memorial Park from
12 to 4.
12 to 4, and then shutting Memorial Park down at 4 and pushing them to Blair Street and Main Street to eat dinner and enjoy the Blair Street entertainment.
Yeah.
And then after that, pushing them to the firework area. So
That's a good segue. Do you want to talk about this now?
I would actually like to continue on with the rest of the because that's only proposed. All of the rest of the stuff we have. So it'd probably be Chris Gover next with the hillside plan. And she and Sheriff Conrad worked the last meeting on this. Kind of nailed this down.
Do you guys have a copy of this yet?
No, because it just came into me today.
Okay.
So we outlined kind of a timeline for the hill. Our committee was safety, and as you know, the hill is anything but safe in the last few years. So we're wanting to really, we'll block it off. And so I haven't gotten to talk to John Sites yet, and just wanted to present this first, but we're looking for barricades. We're looking at blocking off Bluff, into the field, the top of 10th, so they can't drive up, heading toward the shrine, thank you. And then the alleyways to the hill. And then we also need to think about how they come in from the highway if they come up off of Shrine Road. And so there's a lot to be figured out with the plan for the hill, and so this is definitely just a draft. So we're looking at trash cans that can actually be part of the barricade, so then the trash may actually get put in the trash instead of all over the field. We're looking at possibly sawhorses. I know you guys have a bunch, potentially in the bottom of the visitor center. Maybe they could be repainted and used. We're also going to want to do regular patrol, either from some of us on the committee, just going around and being in contact with Bruce, either texting or calling him, okay, we've got a vehicle in the field, he's going to tow it, and so we're trying to, no vehicles up there, no vehicles, only walking. People would bring their blankets and their coolers if they want, you know. And so that would be kind of starting Friday, June 30th and going through the weekend. We usually have people camping at least 4 days ahead of 4th of July. Luckily, it's on a Tuesday this year, so we feel pretty lucky that we get to start this on a Tuesday instead of on a Friday. So maybe it'll just be less chaotic. We did check in with Gilbert. We do need a 300-foot perimeter for the fireworks area. And that will have to be blocked off. I think they used to do just a piece of caution tape is what we used to do, is what I recall up there, just to keep people out. And so that just needs to be figured out. We need to figure out if we're doing Bob's John's again. I know that John, I don't know if that actually got called or if it just got dropped off. We're not sure exactly what happened, but we need to figure out if people are up there, we need to have something for them to go to the bathroom in. Because it will be all over that hill and in the willows, and it's usually in the willows and the hill anyway, even with Bob John's. So we need to make sure that happens. And so we need the town to kind of help out with that, and or figure out what we're going to do, how we're going to do that. I would really love some dumpsters up there, staked down at the top of the hill.
Where do you mean at the top of the hill?
So you know where before you, when you go to the very top where the Gallons house is, before you take the right, it would be up there. Okay. Possibly. The other place I was thinking is maybe just across from, oh, I'm totally blanking. I've never even talked to you guys before. I'm a school teacher and I can't even talk in front of the town. Like across from my house, you know, Bluff, where it goes over there, about Andy's. So like we were thinking some porta potties and some dumpsters, like 2 dumpsters, trash cans out in the field and places.
We don't want so we don't want Bob's John's on the other side of the hill buying seed out there. We don't want those people up there, correct?
Well, you know, they've had lines of Bob's John's right on where everyone drives on Bluff, which isn't like obviously plotted yet, you know, but where it would be plotted, they have set Bob's John's on there, and that is town property, right? 100 feet wide, so that's possible to put it there, you know. And all of this is we don't have permission per se to do the fireworks there yet, so we still need to talk to.
Oh, we do.
We do.
Yeah, we do. That was presented as well.
We do.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah. No.
Okay. I had gotten the memo.
The attorney.
Jeff is already.
Not Jeff. No. This is the attorney that sent the letters out for the hillside to all of the property owners of the undeveloped land in the area. All of the ones who had residents were already spoke to. And it was given, if you don't respond, then it's a go.
It's consent.
Yeah, so it's consent, and we got a 0. Not a single negative one at all. Was that, it should have been a fact too, was it?
What's that?
And that's with regards to allowing fireworks over their property. What
Yes.
about inviting people onto their property?
Right. Well, see, and that's the thing, that's why we're trying to keep the hillside closed off, 300-foot perimeter.
But
If we can, people do it anyway.
Of course they do.
Yeah, so, we can stop.
But did you, in the letter, did you ask if it was okay if they sat there and had picnics?
Jim,
I'm sorry?
the letter, it garnered permission for the fireworks to go off on the hill, correct? Yeah.
It was submitted, wasn't it? In the packet?
Yeah, it was submitted in the packet.
Was it sent by the EC law firm down there?
Yeah. Do you remember any other content there?
No, not mine.
Well, because that's very different fireworks versus people walking all over land.
And they've been doing it for, as you said, they do it every single year. They've been doing it every single year.
Yeah.
But once blocking it off from cars is going, farther than we've ever gone in the past.
Right.
But putting all of the other, porta potties and trash cans, is that considered inviting people onto their private property?
And that's
That's the only thing I worry about.
Well, and I'm speaking candidly, living up there, I mean, I've always felt like that was an invitation. But the vehicle issue up there last year, you guys,
It's
I mean,
awful, I know.
I mean,
I know. We have to.
it has to change. Someone's gonna die, and then we're gonna really.
The question is though,
And that was not just the drinking, the driving,
Yeah.
and kids getting hit. I mean, people were driving into Gary Reader's yard. There were 7 kids staying there. That's when I called the police. I was like, this cannot keep, this is why I'm even on this committee, is because of that. And the wrecks that happened up there, we can't have it anymore. So even if, we've got to figure out the land and make sure it's okay. But anyway, on the day of the 4th, officers on horseback, and Bruce, please jump in. Dean is going to have a group up there. We've kind of got a time that we'd like them there, managing people. We want them visible. We want people to see them. The other thing that's going to be up is town events. Like everything that's happening in town is going to be posted up there. So if we get the sawhorses, I will laminate those. We will put all the events so we can get people off the hill, coming into town, enjoying the events on Blair, in the Memorial Park, the parade, and so they're coming up and down. One issue that we haven't quite figured out is we feel like we're going to probably need some form of shuttling. There will be families who want to go up there, and maybe they just don't go. But if people can't walk up that hill, there are elderly folks that may not be able to do that. So that's something we need to think about.
So you're proposing that people can still go on the hillside and watch the fireworks, they just can't drive up there?
They can't drive on
And
into.
can't camp there, I just.
No camping, no open fire.
Yeah, so kind of our no's, which is definitely kind of negative, but no motorized vehicles, no campfires, open fires. I have ripped up so many fire rings. They're growing back. I just went on a walk today in the field. The field actually looks really good. No camping, no unattended minors. How we can enforce that, we're not necessarily sure, but
Just by posting it, you create this.
no parking and use a porta potty because we don't want to clean up your stuff. So that's the day, and then the next day we're going to do volunteers picking up firework trash and field trash, recycling, cleanup. Molly's donating pizza, and Jim's donating soda, so we're inviting people up. And I know that church groups have helped out the fire department before, and I know there's town members that are happy to come up. It'll be 10 a.m. And we'll do, obviously, I think porta potty, trash cans, dumpsters will be picked up also at that time, sometime on Wednesday, the 5th. So that is kind of the timeline and the plan. We have a lot of other little things to figure out, but that is our draft of what we hope to do.
I really admire you guys for taking this on. That's a big ordeal,
We're not too sure about it yet.
It's your first year, you're gonna, every year you'll tweak it.
She was having to figure out, we were figuring out events and the way to move people. She was actually trying to figure out how to make it friendly, but heck no, we're not going to put up with this. And
Well,
so,
yeah, I mean, it's just gotten worse, and you guys know. And when, I'll come down in town and have a whole different feel than when I'm up at the house. Really, it started for years protecting our land, because people will damage things, and it's not what we want. And I think that this is great that we're here doing this, and I'm committed to my part and all that. So please don't hesitate to ask questions, email me personally about some of this, and our committee is obviously gonna make this happen. I'll be working for days. So, yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Lisa, did you want to add anything? Did you want to add anything?
Oh, pie in the sky. I forgot about that.
Pie in the sky, discuss? I don't know if that's still, please.
Yeah, something we're definitely working on. I don't know if it's going to happen for this year, but we're trying to put basically a very obvious camera up there so that everyone up there knows basically anything you do, we're going to rewind it and see if it was you doing it. It's an expensive adventure. We're kicking around the idea of potentially kind of making one out of spare parts, and we'll see how that goes. Secondarily, I'm going to kind of, last year we made good use of the tragedy of the 14-year-old boy that almost died on us. And I definitely intend about a month from now, about a couple weeks prior, to start that news cycle back up again. It was big news in Durango, and I think we can try and capitalize on that again, and try and keep Durango families from just allowing their kids to come up here and run ragged on us. Oh, I do think that our biggest concern up there, and we did discuss it, we don't quite have any real tangible solutions at this point, but I think we're going to have that many people up on the hill. They didn't drive up there. Their vehicles are going to be parked somewhere, and it's going to be a nightmare, I think, on that whole side of town, the whole east side of town, around 10th Street, 9th Street, 8th Street. Is going to be pretty ruckus as far as trying to get your own home there. So I think that will have a lot of impact, as well as, again, there'll be older people who can't make it up that hill. When you walk up that hill, it's not for everybody. So I think we do have some concerns there, and I think a shuttle, any way we can try and arrange for something like the Lyman's bus or something along those lines, or maybe even hiring some school buses. I think something like that would alleviate a great deal of issues for us, because it's going to be a nightmare for cars and parking.
I would caution everybody to just check on the, whether or not it's a good idea legally to be giving people rides to hang out on private property without the permission from the property owners.
Well, and that's a good point. We garnered permission for one thing. It's kind of a given because everybody goes there anyway. So we were trying to staunch the flow. So
there's obviously a precedent for people going there, but
there is.
It's never been us saying, well, here's your bathrooms, here's your dumpsters, here's your ride.
Well, it kind of was.
You know what I mean?
Because the dumpsters and the bathrooms were already set up within that little parameter because people utilize the hill so much.
Yep.
So our goal was more or less to direct them. And, and blanket marketing and advertising that we haven't put out yet, but if we start calling it a blanket launch event and that kind of thing. And I agree, we can probably get the Frank to send out a letter again through the NEC law firm and do the same exact thing and just say, if we can hopefully guarantee for the most part a very safe launch event with zero vehicles and so on. I mean, that's why we're here, is to give,
And I can't see why a property owner would have, why it would matter to them when they don't have a development there.
Yeah.
But
Well, because a lot of times I've heard from Sheriff Conrad and from Chris and everybody else that has property out there, oh no, they gave me the right to be here. You can't kick me off, my friends own this. And so, how do you say that? Because you really can't prove it. You're going to carry around a letter going, yeah, go ahead, try to throw me off now. I brought my car here. So if we can quelch all of that and just really keep it to pedestrians and so on, then we will. We will have a better handle as it gets closer to those other weekends. When we have to really worry about it on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And that's the hardest one. So we are super related to this on Peachtree Street.
sounds like you guys are being very, very thorough. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and being proactive, getting other, everybody is welcome to come to any of the meetings. We still send it out. We haven't disseminated the list from what we took in, August? No, that was in July.
It was
Yeah,
2 weeks ago.
that was in July, so we still, if they signed up for it, we still stick them on, you get the email all the time, so, yeah. So we're trying to be completely inclusive. You know, you got ideas, you got an issue, bring it, you know, we have a committee meeting once a month, bring it, so we need to know. And then, let's see, oh, marketing, yeah, so as soon as we kind of have a go-ahead for this, we will start putting into the marketing about it being a, you know, no vehicles, no camping, all of those no's. I know we said not to be so no-ish, but we need to. For the hillside, we have to put our foot down. This will not be tolerated anymore. And then on to, sorry, my computer went blank. Let's see. We did get Michelle's CERSA packet, hopefully that will all come back approved. With the, what else was in that packet? The liability statement for the bouncy house, the waiver that would have to be posted, and the Airbound Colorado has an additional waiver, so we're wavering up, making sure, can't say, hey, we didn't tell you, yeah, we did, it's posted right there. Adults would only be allowed to buy wristbands for children and so on and so forth, under the age of, like, 13, in order to go on to the events, the bouncy house events and so on. And then what else is in the packet? Oh, next is the proposed, I'm saying proposed because nothing is written in stone in this, for a block party on Blair Street. Okay. One of Blair's major concerns all the time is that they don't get all the business.
Yep.
So they don't get a lot of business. People stay on Green Street. So if we can reroute and focus people into this area, and this might be hard, like I said, this is just a proposal. I didn't get to talk to Sheriff Moore about this yet, as he wasn't here last week when we were trying to get this all ready. And so it would be barricaded off. I mean, we've discussed it, but I'm not saying we haven't discussed what I drew, let's put it that way. Barricading off an area, and it would be a wristbanded event as well. A lot of the issues we've always had in this town have been uncontrolled partying and drinking, so with the entertainment district, the way that it is set up, that would allow us, all of our neighbors as well, the Bent, the Shady, Natalia's, Eureka Station, and the Capitol within that parameter. We can block off the area, or part of the area, as that's proposed. We can not sell wristbands, excuse me. We can have wristbands that have tear tabs. Each one of those tear tabs, you are able to take it into one of the participating bars. You can get a drink with your tear tab, you pay for your drink, and it would have to be in all of the parameters that are set forth in the entertainment district guidelines. And then they could carry it out into the street. On the stage, we are proposing a stage on 12th Street. Obviously, this is all after the train is gone. And having a stage there with live music and creating a true block party. And then possibly in Columbine Park, I have been looking at like fire twirlers, I have been looking at balloon animals, I have been looking at magicians to try to get that family orientated again, where mom and dad can come, kids are watching the fire twirlers and the balloon animals, everybody can hear the music. If we get all the shops to stay open, you've got an enormous crowd there that is your captive audience. So you can push more business over there for meals as well. And this is proposed between 6 and 9. So everything is shutting down, and it's also the way that you could keep them in that area. There again with the lawn chair event, kind of an idea, and have them just basically turn their chairs around from the stage, and turn it around and watch the fireworks going off. Because that little section would be optimal to see the fireworks coming up down. So, and that's obviously from the edge of the bench through Old Town Square up to the Capitol. Now, I don't know if we're going to be able to pull that all off. We might only do half the street, I don't know. But I really think we need to focus on figuring out how to do this as a community, because that, you want to talk about dollars. That will really bring the dollars. That will hopefully a child and everything like that, I've got the Capitol there now, I see the difference.
It also provides an evening activity for people, which I think is one of our major problems that we've had is lack of activities in the afternoon. I really like the block party idea a lot. The only thing that I see is maybe a trouble spot for you guys, and keep this in mind. On the day that you go to start this, closing down this section, there are a lot of people who come to town and park their cars and then leave and don't come back to their cars.
Yeah.
And so getting them all to have their cars moved by 6 o'clock without closing it off completely for
That was
the
a
day.
proposal that I was thinking of, because if you block it off from 6 to 9 and your car's in there, okay, the state law says it's to no motorized traffic. It doesn't say vehicles can't be parked in there. So if we give plenty of notice that if you do park in this area,
That you're not getting out.
that you will not be able to get out until after like 9:15 or something like that, that we could kind of mitigate that. Or the other possibility, I know that's not great necessarily for the daytime traffic, but we could also try to steer, that again would all be in our marketing package. None of this has been launched yet, because we really, we need more input, I guess. Would be to say that, need all day parking, park between here and here, and after 9 p.m. or 10 o'clock, you can use your vehicle. And so that might mitigate some of the stuff that we have to deal with people not being able to park in the hill. I did speak to Janice Sanders, because she has that property down at the end of town, about her possibly looking into doing some private property. Hey, pay me to park here. Come on. We're not capitalizing on what we've got with all the people that come here. Conrad had an idea about even getting people to buy wristbands to even come into town. And that's something that we will still look at for the future, because why not? It'd be hard to enforce it over in these two areas, but for the most part, if you make people think that they have to have it, they will buy it. They will still go online, they will get it, you could even print them off, and they could be paper for that matter. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Because we don't need a ticket booth to direct them. If we can do it through social media and online marketing. And that's really what our focus has been. I don't know if any of you have gone to our website yet at Silverton 4th of July .org, excuse me. It's highly comprehensive. We've got activities, we've got everything that we're talking about, and it's such a wonderful way to really implement everything that we're doing. So I would be more than happy and welcome to anyone who wants to come to the next 4th of July meeting on Wednesday, the 10th? This Wednesday. Yeah, this Wednesday the 10th? Sorry. Wednesday is the 10th? Okay, at 6 p.m. inside the Grand in the banquet hall. To anybody who can come up with additional ideas for us on how to really implement this block party. I really feel that this is going to be tremendous.
Say what time? The 10th, did you say?
The 10th at 6 p.m. in the banquet hall at the Grand Imperial. Yeah, because I'm still looking for a lot of input on that. I wanted to get this in here to make sure you guys know what we're proposing, because the entertainment district and the Grand Block Promotional Association is separate, but we are trying to work in tandem with the 4th of July because we sit on the board. So, anybody have any questions you can think of, or any other additional suggestions?
Michelle, do you have any issues with the special event application at this point?
No, and understanding that this just includes the Memorial Park, and like
Yes.
you said, it's like separate from the third.
Memorial Park is nailed down. That's what we presented first. Everything else, we really just want additional input, whatever town help we can get.
And the fireworks, to be clear, right? Those
Right.
two
Oh,
things
yeah.
are all
Fireworks and
approved.
fireworks.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what it says. I just wanted to make sure that
Sure.
there was no issues from town staff.
And making a motion, make sure you can include whether or not you want to waive the park rental fees.
Yeah. Because we paid to hold the event, so we're just asking you to concede the park to us this year for the waiver of $350.
On my word, I'm ready to make a motion. If you guys are okay with that? I'll make a motion that we approve a special event application for the 4th of July Association for the use of Memorial Park and for having the fireworks show, and that we waive the Memorial Park rental fee for 2017.
So we have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second. Any further discussion from the board?
I think it's a no-brainer.
I think we've done a good job, made an unbelievable problem areas, and thank you guys for all your hard work. It's a lot of effort into this. Really excited. It's going to be a great event.
Good job. Thank you so much for your help. Roll call, please, Sarah.
Yeah. Trustee Meisel?
Yes.
Trustee Uyghur?
Yes.
Trustee Renauden?
Yes.
Trustee McDougal?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem DeKay?
Yes.
Mayor Tukey?
Yes.
Thank you guys so much, seriously, really good work.
Okay, I'm you're next. Okay, so then under new business B, we have CCA request. It's the Grand Block Promotional Association event plan, the death ride for ALS.
Okay, and in speaking with Sheriff Conrad today when we went over this event plan, I would like to defer this to the next agenda. We've still got some time and there are a lot of unanswered questions. And if you could get some input on that.
I did get a chance to read through this today, actually. I just kind of had this 20-pound packet handed to me earlier today that I hadn't had any heads up on. But I have had some issues with this event in the past, I can tell you. So I'm really happy that it's going to be in Miss Molly's hands and some other folks that I know and trust here in town. And reading through this, I feel pretty comfortable about what you guys are doing. I guess my main concern would be, I don't see traffic control really going on for the race leading itself. And typically in the past, they put 200 bicycles in the middle of the street, and it is 7 o'clock in the morning, but it is still the middle of the street, and there are people trying to drive through there, and there's no traffic control, there's no concern or consideration for anyone else besides folks who've been in the race in the past. So I'd like to see that worked out, and I'm all for it.
But that should be a separate one from Barry, correct, to you? Because we're only dealing, that's 2 days before, right? Isn't that correct?
When they take off?
Yeah,
So,
because this is
so
only
as far
the
as,
final event.
so are we here tonight to think about approving just your block party event for this ALS ride, or is
Yes,
this
and
the
that's
whole-
just the
whole
finish
ride
line.
itself?
Yeah, because that's just the finish line. Mr. Sabinsky should be dealing with you on
You should be
everything else.
providing that information to you. so-
Because we were only asked to do a, just like Hard Rock 100 is proposing, we're being asked to do a small area within just the confines, if you look at the map, of the parking spaces again, just like we did for the whiteout. It would not continue around onto 12th Street. It would only be from the hotel door, or excuse me, the restaurant door to basically the end of mine. Entrances would be here, and it would just strictly be the final ceremony between noon to 5. Because if Mr. Zabinski hasn't turned in a rest, then we might be putting the cart before the horse. I didn't know that. I thought he had already contacted you.
So knowing that now, I'm very comfortable with what these folks are doing. She knows what I expect, and we'll make that work. That's not an issue at all. I'll sign off on this tonight. But we really need to contact Mr. Zabinski and make sure.
I will
everything else is
shoot
in
him
line.
an email as soon as this meeting's over to say that you finished your town packet. Because, yeah, I was not aware of that, I'm sorry. I really thought he'd already come to you with the packet, and I was just finishing up.
Even still, I would think it should be deferred to the next agenda. That way we can receive his stuff.
To see if
And
he's
I think
changed
there's still
anything.
plenty of time before the event. That way, yeah, exactly, not being covered.
Sorry, I didn't know that. Right, yeah, because we were done. Okay, got it?
So Michelle, do you need a motion to table?
Yeah. Check.
I'll make a motion that we table the CCA request for Grand Block Promotional Association event plan for the Death Ride ALS until a later agenda.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. Okay, so we have a second from Trustee Renauden. Any discussion from the board?
Is the next agenda, is the next meeting enough time?
That's what I was just wondering.
Yeah, that we can start from a little
Make sure
bit.
that he's well aware that that means
Yeah.
you proactively need to make this work.
No, and I will. I will contact him via email, and then I'll give him a phone tomorrow. That, yeah, I'm really sorry. I wasn't aware that he didn't have to finish.
It's actually not your fault in any way because he has
Yeah.
avoided going through that process every year, so we'll talk to him about that. It's not your fault.
Yeah, and you don't need people like to contact.
Yeah, totally.
It's not you take that responsibility.
Well, no, I won't contact him just because we haven't been.
Oh, sure.
so much.
Okay.
Getting this final party set up. But yeah, he's gotta have, everything set up for the sheriff to make sure that that runs without a hitch. And even if it's a few barricades, I mean, that's pretty much what he needs, doesn't it? To kind of stream it out.
He needs a plan, and he needs to actually execute it.
Okay. All right, no, and I'll give him that recommendation, so, the sheriff gets to see it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so last under new business, Ed Jilka came in, and so we have a contract for janitorial services for him.
Can we finish the vote? Sorry, Heather.
Sorry. Roll call, Sarah.
Trustee McDougal?
Yes.
Trustee Meisel?
Yes.
Trustee Wiegert?
Yes.
Trustee Renata?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem DeKay?
Yes.
Mayor Tukey?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Pete.
Yes.
Okay, so, Mr. Jilka decided that retirement was not all it was cracked up to be. And so he came in and talked to John, and we have a contract for his services again this year. He takes care of the bathrooms and.
Columbine Park.
Columbine Park.
There's a little bit of a change in the contract from last year in that we're taking out the restrooms at Memorial Park. That'll be part of the Parks and Rec department.
He's not going to do it, or he is?
He is not.
So unless anybody has any questions, I would entertain a motion to.
I have a comment, question.
Go ahead.
I had a woman come to me last year at the very end of the season, the last training, I think it was, and say, that bathroom is disgusting. And I just happened by chance walking after her, and that's what the sinks look like. That was,
And that was the sinks.
this is
at
the last
Columbine?
training. This is the sink, these are the sinks in Columbine and Hyde Park.
Okay.
And they obviously haven't been, I mean, someone wrote their name in the dirt. So I don't, I'm nothing against Mr. Joker or anything, but if that's what we're paying someone to do, I think we need to take a really good look at it, because that's incredibly disgusting.
So we're paying $300 a week to do Memorial Park and, Columbine. So we're going to pay the same amount of just down in Columbine Park then?
So, Bruce, is this being?
This is last training.
Yeah.
So now it's going to clean the entire season.
This is the one day thing.
At no time last year was I willing to send anybody to the Columbine Park to use the facilities. I'd say it was just smooth embarrassing.
Does he work 7 days a week, Michelle?
He does. He does, yes. It is 7 days a week.
So that's,
That role is 7 days a week.
so what is that? Let me make some meaningful numbers out of this for just a second, if you don't mind. He's making $43 a day to clean the bathrooms. So that's a half hour, it's roughly $80 an hour.
This was recommended by the Public Works Director to renew this contract with him. We did put this out to RFP. We weren't able to find anybody who had the ability to work
7 days a week.
other than Mr. Tully.
Could you bring that picture out?
I can send it, I'll send it to
Yeah,
Michelle
I'd
right
like
now.
that, because he needs to see that.
I'm okay with this contract, Michelle, but I would mention to John that he needs to speak to Ed about just maybe some guidelines as to what, not just clean the bathrooms, but clean this, clean this, clean this. Maybe have a checklist or something like that. Do something to ensure that the services we're getting are adequate.
Right, like just like what we did with Mavis, is creating a punch list.
Just go through his job description.
Or just a little oversight of some sort to make sure that the jobs that we're getting are things we're talking about.
Are the sinks damaged? Are they so scratched that they can't?
No, you can carve your initials in the scum.
Okay.
CLR is what it sounds like. I'll make a motion that we approve the contract for Ed Jelka.
Okay, well, why don't you put that, you can talk to me.
Yeah, I saw
And
it.
I can put that in the motion? Okay, then I amend my motion to say approve the contract for janitorial services with Ed Jilka and asking staff to speak to Ed with regards to the level of service.
Do we have money for this?
He's gonna want to.
He's built into our seasonal arts budget.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Barbara? Okay, any further discussion? Okay, then roll call, please. Sarah?
Trustee Renato?
Yes.
Trustee Wiegert?
Yes.
Trustee Meisel?
Yes.
Trustee McDougall?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem DeKay?
Yes.
Mayor Tukey?
Yes.
Can I ask, or what about that one?
Yeah.
What about this retreat and what time and where is it and is there a map and?
I haven't gotten that information yet. I know it's the 20th and the 21st. I believe the 20th is going to be from 8 to 5. The 21st from 8 to noon. It's at Purgatory.
Yeah.
They have a meeting center there somewhere. But I haven't gotten confirmation on that.
Yeah, he said he would provide a drawing or something how to get there.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah, he has.
That's all. Yeah.
I just need to name the building and know my way around there pretty well. I have a 7-passenger vehicle if anyone wants to ride.
Anything else?
Is he on the agenda?
What?
Am I on the agenda?
You were under the consent agenda.
Uh-huh.
You got approved right at the beginning of the meeting. We approved you.
I'm sorry.
There's
I hate when this happens.
I was
You
here,
already
I didn't
approved and
see
everything
it.
else.
Well, I have some questions. Do I need to stand up? Can I just talk?
Go ahead.
Okay, the car show, that's the breakfast, it's the parade, we block off the street the evening before. Last year, Mikey Lawyer took our barricades and threw them 20 feet or so. Refused to put them up to call Bruce.
I think it was
I said, do you think council doesn't know we're doing this? Do you think we can already get this all approved? It was our 4th year. But he wouldn't listen. He was pretty rude. He just threw him. So I just left him there and put him up later. So I hope that doesn't happen.
You know, we should have addressed that actually after the letter that we received from them about this, and publishing, I'm sorry, because you are correct, that is an issue and he's concerned about it. It was the timing, and that his people were like actually barricaded in and then pulled out of their restaurant off the line to move their vehicles so that you could have that closed. So let's talk about that, Casey, and let's get them informed in advance
That was the problem.
and set up a
You know,
plan.
it should be after the businesses are closed.
Okay, well, maybe we just want to make sure there weren't any cars on the street because we have big rigs coming in.
And that's understandable.
Right, and we had done it
poorly last year.
Yeah, we can't take people away from their dinner.
It was because he was new there and hadn't.
Right.
he was-
Well, we should,
didn't have a clue.
I wasn't here
And
last
he was
week when
really rude.
when you turned it in, but let's figure out a solution to that. If this is going into the 5th year, we can come up with a plan to work with Mikey, I think, so that it doesn't disrupt his dinner flow. I believe that we can come up with a plan. If I had seen that last week,
That's fine,
So
that's
let's
fine.
do- right?
I don't want to seem like
Okay.
that again.
No, let's figure that out. And if the board's willing to approve it and know that we'll work with the lawyers and Eureka Station, and I will help coordinate that
So would it
solution.
be a good time, doesn't he open till
No,
eight?
the lawyers, they're not the lawyers actually, but,
Isn't he open till pretty late? I mean, I don't want to get up at 1 in the morning and go prepare.
Ideally, the way you do it is with preemptive signs stating that, at this date and time, no vehicles are allowed parking here. You put those up well ahead of time so that they're well.
That's what we did. And,
If Mikey goes out and moves those, then that's an issue for me.
okay.
Bruce, we'll coordinate,
Okay, so
I
we'll try to
think.
work that out.
Maybe big signs.
I guess before in the previous years, we didn't have a $200 fee to do this. We don't have that. We're just trying to promote, I mean, they come stay for 3-4 nights and stay in all the rooms here and eat and stuff. And so that's all I'm trying to do is bring people to town. Can we waive that fee?
It was in your packet.
What kind?
that we got.
Okay, I mean, I don't have approval.
We did the approval during the consent agenda. When
Sorry.
when I read off everything.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard you do that, I didn't know that was.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's kind of confusing because it gets all approved under one.
Right, the consent agenda is a way for us to approve multiple things all of one vote, and you were wrapped into that.
Because I thought I was at the beginning,
And you were.
So you're stuck through this whole meeting.
The other thing I wanted to know about, okay, last year we had arranged it for a Kendall Rec Center to have camping for any of the truckers or anything, people wanted to do that. Well, we only had one guy. So we had purchased we rented the standing cabin. And the truckers just threw money at it to pay for it. But they parked up there at the very back, by the bushes way in the back there, and they just loved that, wanted to know if they could put their trailers, their trucks there the night before the show, because they come in a day or two early, they stay here, but they don't put their trucks out until like Friday night. So they want to know if they could rent it, and if you give me an amount, if we can do that, and maybe we could take a couple bucks too off of it.
That's something you need to take to staff. I think that's what you put on your application as well, as it was to be determined. So we worked out that sort of arrangement with other events that have gone on over there.
Okay.
So if you just bring it to Sarah or myself.
Oh, that's all I can do? Oh. Okay. That was too easy.
Sorry, I had to stay with the whole meeting.
But we are such an exciting group. Imagine that it wasn't a night wasted. I hope it wasn't.
We have a lot of things to do.
You and me both, don't we all?
Mark.
Let's do that later. Okay, so it's 8:49.
Okay.
Sorry about that, Casey.
Thank you.
I'm heading that way. Hopefully they're still awake. Well, I know one of them. If he's not awake, he will be soon. Every 2 hours.